Okay. What's going on, YouTube? My name is Meteorologist Mike Linden with My Radar. We are here live in the My Radar studios here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. At least beautiful for right now before a potential arrival from Hurricane Dorian. We continue with our coverage of the hurricane as it continues to work its way closer to the coastline of the Sunshine State. We will begin by saying, if you are new around here, welcome to the My Radar YouTube channel. We are super proud of how this thing has really built itself out over the past couple of months. If you are not already, please subscribe to the channel. Click on that notification bell as well. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video. You can not only see daily forecasts here, you get live streams like this. We are producing all sorts of new and exciting content, how-to videos, tutorial videos, live chats. There's so much coming your way. All I can do is to tell you to subscribe and click on that notification bell. That way you always know whenever one of those new videos is coming. So, we have quite a few people jumping in the chat now, so we'll get started. Again, my name is Meteorologist Mike Linden. We are based in Orlando, Florida. Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson was in fairly late last night, or I should say even early this morning, so she is getting some well-needed rest at home. I suspect that we'll actually see her here within the next couple of hours, and she will take you the rest of the way forward through the rest of the evening, as we are likely to get some really important information regarding Dorian's future coming up later this afternoon and into the early evening. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? I am going to take you through some graphics here, and we are going to talk about Hurricane Dorian. If you have any questions for me, you have any questions for Leslie, you got a question about the My Radar app, go ahead and pop it into... Getting a phone call, fantastic. There we go. Rookie mistake. Let's go ahead and leave those comments in the chat here. I've got it up right next to me. Shout out to Banana. Been subscribed for a couple of months now. That's awesome. Shout out to Fernando O-Town. That's right. Not the boy band from the 90s. We, of course, are talking about Orlando. Now let's talk about Dorian. Here is Hurricane Dorian, a fairly impressive growing hurricane that is now at 150 mile per hour sustained winds. That's up from 140 last night, 145 this morning, and now 150. You can really see, especially toward the end of that radar loop, that this thing is kind of swelling, right? It's getting big. You can especially see that right here around this portion of the eye. That's starting to get a little more symmetrical. Right now, you're kind of still seeing on the back end here on the eastern and especially northeastern end of the storm, it's still kind of like that fat kind of billowing out kind of storm. Not exactly what you want if you're the type that wants that picture perfect, major hurricane. You're just not seeing it yet with Dorian. You're starting to a little bit, especially again toward the end of this satellite loop. You have the well-defined eye. Of course, you have the outflow, but you want to be looking again for that kind of more symmetrical eye shape, and it is developing that, and that is a sure sign of intensification. It has been doing that for 24 hours now. As look around it here, there's nothing. It's just warm water. There's no mountains, nothing getting in the way, except for the Bahamas, likely to take an impact here within the next 24 hours. You can really see again that Dorian is an impressive storm, but still isn't as huge as other high-end major storms have been. Irma, Michael, Matthew, all storms that impacted Florida that were all a lot bigger than Dorian. We're getting some comments rolling in here. Let's see. Derek saying he just got the hurricane update on the app, and it's awesome. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it. It's actually a really great feature. My wife, who actually works in TV news, she knows that I'm a meteorologist, but even she'll constantly will be telling me, "Look at what your app's doing. It's doing this. It's showing this." So, we're getting it from all angles, folks. We're getting it from all angles. Let's see what else we got. James is asking, how far do you think the pathway will go out? If you could just clarify that a little bit, James. Do you mean how far in time we can take the NHC path, or are you asking where the wind gust miles per? Okay, we'll get to that. Banana's asking how many people are on the My Radar team. We are a small but mighty team, but as far as meteorologists go, we have myself, Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson, as well as our weekend meteorologist, Stephanie Lauber, who is helping us out big time on social media today. So a lot of the posts that you're seeing on Facebook and Twitter are from Stephanie. So give her a shout out in the comments, whether it's here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Big shout out to Stephanie. So let's keep advancing here because we got Derek there who's posting in all caps. So as you could tell, he's trying to get his point across. Looking at the radar and satellite imagery here, over the past 24 hours, we've really, again, seen a big-time intensification in Dorian strength. It's still, grand scheme of things, not the biggest storm, but it is really getting large here. And that eye is it's at a point right now where it's almost waving at Florida going, hey, here I am right here. Don't mind me. But meanwhile, all of us are minding Dorian. And there are some folks that should really be paying close attention, that being people that live in the Bahamas. You can see this purple color here. That is a hurricane watch. With the red color here for the northwesterly islands, that is a hurricane warning. If you compare it to cooking, baking, let's use the example I've been using all morning, like a cake, right? A watch means that you have the flour, you got the sugar, you got all your ingredients, you're measured out, you're ready to go. But it's not quite a cake just yet. A warning means the cake is baked. You're ready to open the oven door. You're good to go. You're ready. You're done. That is what a warning is. One is a lot more imminent than a watch. That is especially important to remember during all times of the year, I should say, especially when dealing with severe weather, let alone a hurricane. So here is the NHC path. Here we go, folks. I can't just give you what you want right off the top, right? I gotta make you wait just a little bit for it, just a little bit. But here is the NHC path here, and it's so different from what I was expecting to see, and so different from what we've even been seeing over the past 12 hours. It really is astounding here, especially true when you consider the fact that we, as well as meteorologists all over the United States, and for that matter the world, have been banging the drum since this all got started. This path can change. So much can change. If you go back and you look at some of the model runs from about a week ago, expecting to see what Dorian would do, and it looked different from this. Again, these models, whenever you hear the GFS, the Euro, the NAM, the WRF, the Canadian, the GEM, these are all models that are used in the world of weather, but there's a word that gets dropped off from that that's really important, and that's the word guidance. These are model guidance, meaning that as a meteorologist or as anybody looking at these models, they are not the be-all and end-all. It is not a forecast. It is simply model guidance. The forecast is what the meteorologist puts together to make a forecast. So the model it's just a tool, right? I mean, if we go back to the example of baking a cake, the models could be a whisk. It could be a rubber spatula. It's something helping you make that cake, right? It's not the cake. It's important, but it's not the cake. I hope this makes sense to you. So the models that the National Hurricane Center has been looking at for this entire run, two of the benchmark ones are the GFS and the European. There's a ton of different variables that go into all of those models that look at different parameters and different factors. But right now, at least the official path is this red line here. And right now, this would avoid landfall entirely with the state of Florida as a major hurricane sitting right off the coast. Shadows of Hurricane Matthew doing a very similar thing. What's really important to not forget here, folks, is that this is the cone of uncertainty. Where did it go? There's my pointer. This white bubble, that is the cone of uncertainty, meaning anything within that cone needs to have their hurricane plan in place. That this is still a forecast that could change on a dime like that. Now, by that, I don't mean this thing's not going to, take a sharp turn to the left. It's not going to start going north today. It's a slow mover, and it's especially going to slow down right here tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. And that's where the steering currents will grab this thing and either take it a little bit inland or take it north and northeastward. So again, Orlando, Cape Canaveral, Daytona Beach, Jacksonville, all still need to be fully prepared for a potential landfall. As even though the official track does not have a landfall in Florida, it is still a possibility. You cannot rule it out at this point. In fact, the only landfall that we're seeing on the NHC track is up in here into North Carolina. This is later in the week, Thursday morning. But remember, today is Saturday. That's several days from now. So much can change, but that is very, very interesting. And by the way, making its way all the way up into North and South Carolina as a Category 3 and 2. I doubt folks in that area are going to forget about Hurricane Florence that impacted that part of the world and brought a ton of flooding. If this track were to verify for folks that live in the Carolinas, not to say it would be exactly like Florence, but you can expect a lot of rain wherever this thing goes, especially if it slows down. Let alone the rain, going to be looking at a lot of wind as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It doesn't make landfall in Florida, but with it, it brings a lot of rain. In fact, from the National Hurricane Center, they wrote something that really at least stuck by me. Let me pull it up here, make sure that you guys can hear me here. So this is from their public advisory from 11 o'clock this morning. Hurricane winds from the center of Dorian extended about 30 miles outward, with tropical storm force winds extending outwards of up to 115 miles. So for folks that live on the eastern coast of Florida, even if this thing doesn't make landfall over the next couple of days, you're still going to be feeling some strong winds leading up to it, just off of the center of it. Not to mention storm surge, certainly going to be a huge factor. That is something that the National Hurricane Center has been harping on for about a week now. In fact, they've been using very, very strong wording: life-threatening, devastating, catastrophic. These are all words that they have used, and they are all words to be taken very, very seriously. I know that in Brevard County, in Florida, that being right up in here near Cape Canaveral, there are already mandatory evacuations underway. That's, again, all good things. Preparation, you fail to prepare and you prepare to fail. Remember that. Heading into Wednesday, Thursday, you can see there the GFS, boy, is that putting it so close to the coastline. But even with that means you can expect potentially some very powerful winds to head up that way. And again, flooding would become a major, major issue for the southeastern coastline of the United States. And here you can see the probability of those tropical storm force winds along the eastern coast of Florida, beginning to feel those late Sunday night and into Monday morning. And with this current path, it would avoid a landfall entirely. It's still amazing for me to even say that, considering for those of you that don't live in the Orlando area. I mean, let alone this is where we work. We live here too. And again, people are taking things very seriously, which is good. I mean, again, prepare or fail to prepare and prepare to fail. And I can tell you, at least for the folks that live in and around the Orlando metro area, they are definitely preparing. Which is all good things. But I think for people that live in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, if you are watching this or if you have family or friends that live up that way, you need to start preparing just in case. I mean, there's still a very strong possibility that this thing just curves out to the Atlantic and doesn't impact anybody, at least directly, which would be kind of the best case scenario here with the scenarios that we're left with. So again, please, 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 if you know anyone that lives in any of these areas that has not started to prepare, to begin to do so. Almost done here, folks. Just a couple more things to look at. We're going to look at a big difference between two of the biggest models that that folks have been looking at here, the GFS and the European models. So what we're going to do here is you're going to see both models begin to split along the eastern coast of the state. We've got the GFS above, the Euro below, and this is just going to show you both of the tracks so you can see kind of where they're both headed. The GFS taking things northward with a landfall, potentially the first landfall other than the Bahamas maybe, up into North Carolina. What a different outcome than what people were thinking even just, again, 12 hours ago. The European, a little slower, which I'm kind of buying into a little bit. This thing really looks like it's going to slow down along the eastern coast of Florida, and that's where things are really going to get dicey. That either of these scenarios, if they play out either way, again, is going to bring a ton of rain and a ton of wind to the low country in South Carolina, as well as into Georgia and North Carolina. So something to pay attention to. Even for the people that live in the city of Jacksonville, you are still very much in play as well from a potentially dangerous hurricane landfall. Keep in mind, folks, it is August 31st. Hurricane season is just getting started. We are just now entering the peak of when we see the largest percentage of named storms. It really is amazing to think that this is our reality. This is what we're dealing with. If Dorian were to make landfall in the state of Florida, it would be the third major hurricane in as many years to make landfall in the Sunshine State. We had Irma in 2017, Michael in 2018, and now potentially Dorian, or at least staring down the barrel of a potential landfall from a major hurricane, that being Category 3 and above. Let's also not forget, just a year before Irma in 2016 was Hurricane Matthew, a very, very strong storm that this close, folks, 5 to 10 miles off the coastline, avoided making a historic landfall in Brevard County, Florida, which has never occurred, by the way, ever since record keeping began. So there have certainly been storms, hurricanes, mind you, in Central Florida. But as far as making a landfall in that part of the state, it's never happened. And at least up until just 12 hours ago, it looked like that could be a very real possibility. Things are changing a little bit, but we are still not out of the woods just yet. And now, for the folks that live in the Carolinas and in Georgia, now your preparation begins. So I have talked now for a good 16 minutes. Let me jump over to the comments here. Take some time to answer any of the questions and concerns that you may have, and then we will say goodbye to get prepared for the next update. I'm still trying to figure out when exactly that's going to be. It could potentially be 1, 2 o'clock-ish. I know Leslie is going to be getting in here shortly, and that's when we'll probably get a game plan together and figure things out. So bear with me here. Just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Let's see. Leslie Cox saying that she's been here, I assume Florida you mean, since Donna in 1960. Wow, how about that? Well, Leslie, I'm sure that you are totally loving all these weather memes that are coming out of that are all over the internet. They're fantastic. I mean, if memes are good for anything, they are really good to help lighten the mood a little bit. This is very serious. I mean, weather is a very serious business, but memes can definitely help to make things a little more lighthearted. Jay saying, I give good examples. Hey, shout out to you, Jay. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it very much. Let's see. Timberlab. If it stays this path, what will we get hit with on the southeastern coast of Georgia? It's a great question. Let me pull the path back up while I load the rest of the chat here. And then Supernova Girl. What is the percentage of Dorian turning into a Category 5 hurricane? We're going to learn a lot here over the next couple of hours, Supernova Girl. But I suggest you follow us on Twitter as we are retweeting the Hurricane Hunter reconnaissance flights for most of the day today. That being, those are those planes that are literally flying into the storm, dropping radiosondes, which is a fancy little weather station that gets us a vertical profile of the atmosphere. So we can look at the pressure, we can get the wind speed, you can get a lot of things. And that really kind of helps us paint a picture as to what's going on in the middle of the storm, of course, without being out there. There's nothing out near Dorian right now. So we will know a lot more as to its strength here over the coming hours. We had a question. I forgot who it was now. Timberlab, that's right. When we potentially get hit in southeastern Georgia. So at least looking at the potential path here, the National Hurricane Center is putting the cone up near you Wednesday morning. So, or I should say, yeah, Wednesday morning. So between Tuesday afternoon, and Wednesday morning, at least as of now. This thing has slowed down every update. So if you live in southeastern Georgia, I suggest that you, again, start doing your hurricane prepping now. This, again, does not have a landfall over you, but a Category 3 hurricane sitting right off the coast, not fun for anybody, let alone a Category 4, like for the people of the state of Florida. Joseph, where can I get your shirt? That's so cool. Joseph, shout out to the great folks at Helicity. They are a, I'm trying to think of what you call them. They are a one-stop shop for weather nerds, I should say. And me being a meteorologist, I'm definitely a weather nerd. We've got some really cool, I don't have them here, but we got some shoes. I guess I they're in the other room. I'll have to get them sometime. They have a hook echo on them. They're really cool, and I got it at Helicity. So a little free plug for Helicity. Those guys are awesome. Shout out to Justin from Helicity. You're the man, too, if you're watching. Either way, that's probably going to do it for me here on YouTube. Be sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video, too. And, of course, do not forget to subscribe, or to click the bell, rather, for notifications. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video. These updates are going to continue throughout the day. You can find them also on the My Radar app. Click on the video portal. You can find them there. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms too: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, SoundCloud. We are everywhere nowadays. And once Dorian calms down, we can get back to quote-unquote regularly scheduled programming. And with that, so much more exciting content. If any of you saw our storm chaser, Aaron J. Jack, he had a live hit the other night on CNN with Don Lemon. He was standing right behind me here doing the live shot. And he actually is going to be in the building here very shortly. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do a quick little interview or something with Aaron if he has the time. I know that he's definitely trying to hit the road, especially if this thing turns northward. So give a big shout out to Aaron J. Jack in the comments, in the chat. Be sure to follow him on Twitter as well. And keep it locked right here on My Radar for all things Dorian coverage. I have been meteorologist Mike Linden. From all of us here at My Radar, please stay safe. We will see you in the next one.